Well, this is actually going to be a different video from what I normally do because I am going to discuss my book and my plans for this year. So, this is one of the first, well, it's not the first map I drew of my imaginary world called Faendom. As you can see, it's an older version because originally I was using Fairy instead of Fane. I ended up deciding to opt for Fane because fairies in my mind had a more pixie impish connotation in my head, whereas these beings are more angel human hybrids, it seems like, in appearance. So, with that in mind, I changed it from, I took the word fae and added an in and called it fame. This notebook is pretty much my main notebook for my story. It has all these little notes that I've taken over the years, different ideas for the world, and little notes for elements of my story. I have no idea what some of these things have. Oh, those were different story ideas, not related to my book. This was a writing style. I was looking for this. This is a writing style, kind of how their writing looks whenever I say like the Fane characters or the Fane language, something was engraved in these. This is kind of the alphabet you're looking at. So I forgot that was in this book. So as you can see, there might be spoilers. Yeah. Some little projects I made. Those are not book related. Those are stencils for sewing projects. And then that's another story of mine. Notes. Oh, that's from MythCon. These are some of the youngest presenters at MythCon. These are my notes from their presentation. Another story, Merle, The Adventures of Merle, is a story that I plan to write after this. This is actually a journal. Roseleaf, one of my characters, had a journal. Things I've typed up and printed so they don't get lost. Puppy break. This is my puppy Fitz. He's a good boy. A very good boy. He's 18 weeks old. He's mostly potty trained. He has a couple accidents still. He knows not to bite too hard. Fitz. Fitz. After that brief interruption, but yeah, 2012 to 2016 were the time period when I was writing the book. I finished it in 2016, and the 2-3 years that followed after that, more 2 years, I did a lot of heavy editing. And then 2019, 2020, I kind of let it kind of sit. I let it sit, and I'm trying to do panning and talk to you at the same time, and that kind of, I can't do two things at once and talk. 2021 and this year have let me, since I've gotten married, and I've actually spent a bit more time devoted to getting my book in a more publishable format. I've reformatted the book. I've actually printed I decided I was not going to focus on the whole book in its entirety for editing. I was going to just focus on one specific section. So I'm doing part 1. I'm editing it. I printed out the entire part 1 on double-sided paper. So I've got probably about a third of the way through it so far. I've got a bit more pages to do. I technically am on chapter 10. I've also been chopping up the bigger portion chapters into smaller sections. That way they're a bit more bite-sized as opposed to large. Just to make it a bit easier to read and a bit more manageable. That way you're not sitting there going, oh, I've got 12 pages in this chapter. Now, about my plans for the future, I'm going to commission artwork for the front covers of my books. I've had some suggestions to draw it by hand by myself. Since it's a book cover, book covers are basically the first thing a reader looks at. And I don't just want any book cover. I don't want to do it myself. I want someone who is good at drawing, who's done it for years, who's got experience, and I'm going to commission them to draw me a book cover. I will devote my own drawings to illustrations for my book. Not that good, and for a book cover I want it to be the best, so I'm going to do that. So this year I'm just basically going to devote it to finishing up editing part 1 and getting a book cover. I've already got the formatting. I'm going to type all these changes into my book and hopefully by the end of the year have something that can be presented to the world. And I will keep you guys updated on what I do with that. Now, thank you if you've come to the end of this. I just want to say thank you for listening to my ramblings and my late Friday night incohesive ramblings as I try to tell you a little bit about my book and the 12 years I've spent working on it. So I had my numbers wrong. It's been 12 years. Not 10, 12 years. You can expect my channel to be a little bit unpredictable in content. But if you're willing to stay, that would be appreciated. Thank you and have a wonderful night. And I hope you have a good 2024.